Pleased to be joined by Natalie Thorneberry, the head volleyball coach at Southside High School in Fort Smith. Coach, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Things obviously a lot better than when the spring began. So how did the pandemic and everything getting canceled? How did that affect your program?
I think we're like everybody else. In the beginning, we didn't really know how long we were going to be this way. Initially you thought maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and every day we were getting more and more information. So it took us a little while to find our niche, what worked. It's hard to juggle that many girls who might be taking care of siblings, might have Zoom calls with different teachers at different times, a lot of different schedules. And I have twin 3-year-old girls at home. So that made it really fun. Um, but yeah, it took us a little while to find what worked for us. But once we kind of got into a good routine, I think the girls did really good adjusting as
I
best
was
we could.
I was going to say, looking at the Twitter feed, y'all had the Zoom meetings. I would imagine you're probably at this point sick of Zoom meetings. Is that fair to say?
Yes, my children love it. They think it's all about them. They'll jump right in front of me, hang on my head. They think it's great. But yes, we were very happy to get to see some faces, or at least their eyes, for most of
Yeah.
the time.
Now that things starting to open back up, and I know it's a day-to-day situation. What are you able to do right now, and are are you able to even really do much?
We have just started our baby steps this week. We are able to at least meet with them, keep things as safe as possible. That's the number one concern. But right now we're focusing on getting some, I guess, baby steps, just seeing how our conditioning is and where we need to go next. Obviously, everybody's going to be a step or two behind. In volleyball, we always laugh that you can be in shape, but volleyball shape is very different with what our sport requires the body to be able to do. So we started getting some conditioning, working on some jump training again, getting to touch a ball. Granted, we're still being very safe with that, one ball per girl. It's interesting in a sport where you need a teammate to be able to
Hmm.
do most drills. So we're getting creative, trying to get them some touches and just really for everyone's mental health and well-being, get to be around each other, get back into some kind of routine as safely as possible. So it definitely brightened my week to get to be in the gym with them, even though it looks and feels a lot different than it was.
Well, I can imagine who was more excited, the coaches or the players, to be back.
Probably the coaches, at least after the first 15 to 30 minutes. Definitely the coaches, maybe not the girls anymore. They did really good. We were surprised to see so many willing to come and sign up for these practices, because in our calendar June is the month where we don't typically see them. We run a summer camp and that's it. So most of them go on vacation or they're still playing club ball. So it was nice to get to see some faces in the gym.
As we move forward, the season's really not that far away, and being limited in the spring, do you have to kind of hurry things up a little bit as we get ready for the season, or you just, like you said earlier, take it day by day and just do the best you can?
We're very much day by day. We're trying to evaluate when we finish going through the workouts. We've only gone through 2 workouts, and you're already kind of able to see, okay, these are some areas that I feel like we've regressed the most. Um, in volleyball, we're touches are so important, but to get a good quality serve, you need a net to work on setting with height and tempo. You really need a net there. So these girls have gone the longest in their volleyball careers without being on a net and being able to train. So it'll be interesting. I think at this time we really just don't know. It'll be a hurry up and wait and see how we are once we are able to do a full practice. But I have faith in these girls. They have done a phenomenal job to try to stay in shape as much as possible. Even beyond what little we did as a team, what little we could manage as a team on these Zoom calls, we had so many girls that were doing additional workouts, continuing to train and train at a high level. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like when we do try to acclimate back to playing shape.
You took on the job at Southside. That's a tough task, replacing Steve Hauser. You're an alum. You played there. You were the state tournament MVP. I know that's got to be exciting to coach your alma mater, but then also the challenge of trying to follow a legend. They always say you don't want to follow a legend. What was it like that first year last year for you in that situation?
Steve Hauser did a phenomenal job letting me figure out how I would run a team. Even before it was, my job as a head coach, he was the best mentor I could have asked for. I felt very confident in what worked for me. And it was, of course, terrifying once he was no longer there. I might have burned his ear a couple times calling him in those July months when I was trying to still remember everything that it takes, because he was such a great team manager. He knows Southside volleyball better than I've ever seen somebody know their team. He was the legend. So there was definitely a lot of learning taking place, but I'll credit these girls. These girls were amazing because we had hiccups, we had growing pains like any coaching change, but they did everything we asked of them and more. It was a dream to get to work with this group. And my assistant coach, Peyton Northington, I still struggle and call her Peyton Hamilton. She's also an alum, so she really knows and respects Southside volleyball. So it was really great to have another person who just knows the way it was. And we were able to take that history of Southside volleyball and kind of put our own twist on it. But talk about a first year, peaks and valleys. We knew there would be peaks and valleys, but this was intense.
I can imagine. And you made it to the state finals, which is quite an accomplishment itself. Came up a little short against Bentonville, but I mean, a great first year. But what's it mean to coach your alma mater? Because that's got to be something that's really special.
It really is. I think it's really fun to be able to look the girls in the eye and really mean it when you say, I've been in your shoes. Thank goodness not the same jerseys. We've upgraded a little bit since the shiny metallic days that I was a part of. But it's really fun to be able to say, not only do I want us to be successful because, I love you and I want to see you do well, but I know what it's like to have Southside across my chest when I play, and it's so much fun. And I think what's really neat too is a lot of times you look up in the stands and I see my former teachers that are still at Southside in the stands that were in the stands when I played. So that's been a lot of fun. It does date me quite a bit because they've given me a little bit of a hard time saying they can't figure out which person I am in the pictures. So that hurts a little, but it's been so much fun. I've loved every minute.
That's great. One big change for you all this year is you're changing conferences, moving to the 6A West. What kind of challenge does that present? Because the teams and have seen for years, you're not going to play, so now you've got to learn a whole new group of teams. How challenging is this move going to be for y'all?
This team, if anything, we kind of laughed at this year because when we ended last season, that was kind of our focus. Hey, guys, we're going to a new conference. The travel's going to be so much better. But, we have to relearn these teams. For a while there, every 2 years, we would switch between the West and the Central. So every group had a little bit of experience in both those conferences. But this group has known nothing but Central. So it's going to take some learning, but these are teams we always tried to schedule either non-conference or try to see these teams in a tournament. So, we're getting to see a new group. Now we've got to try to catch Conway and Northside and Bryant and all these teams in the Central on tournaments. So we might have to change the way we think about our tournament process. But these girls are the most adaptable group that I've seen, probably because of the circumstance, but we also are getting a new gym. Our old gym is no longer there. So we're going to take all the change 2020 can bring and we're going to run with it.
Yeah, there's a look at the gym under construction. You won't get to play it in this year, but next year. And that'll be kind of unusual too because, having played in the old gym and coached in the old gym, it's going to be a new surrounding. That's going to be a little different, isn't it? Along with having Northside as a non-conference opponent. A lot of change at Southside.
We just loaded that plate full this year.
Yeah.
But, the construction part, you can't get mad about it for a second because these great things are coming. I mean, just right now have construction on every side of our building. So it's so much fun to see the growth and the change. And what we told the girls is, hey, you'll be the last season in the old gym. You'll be the first season in the South gym, and you'll be the first season in the new gym for this current group of juniors. So they kind of will have a fun little part of Southside history, playing 3 different gyms in 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be cool. You mentioned tournaments. With everything that has gone on, does this affect the tournaments you play? I mean, do you play out of state? Do you have out of state tournaments lined up? Do you know where that stands? Do you even worry about the schedule?
Very much so. Very much so. That's one of those things right now we haven't gotten any guidance on yet. So we're still just waiting. We did actually get into a Springfield tournament last year. That was our first year. It's a great, highly competitive tournament. We were really excited to go back this year, but we're kind of just, as I told the girls, we're going to learn how to monitor and adjust better than any group in history. So as we get guidance on that, we might make some decisions, but we're just kind of holding our breath, seeing what each day brings.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. You mentioned that a lot, but I don't know if people truly understand you guys. I mean, you wake up, it's a new day every day.
Yes.
We're just totally in uncharted waters, and it's not all cut and dry. That's gotta be a little nerve-wracking, isn't it? Because as a coach, you like structure, and there's not a lot of structure right now.
And when you plan everything out in December and you have your calendar ready, and then in March you put that calendar in the shredder, and since then you've probably had 70 different versions, that's been really interesting. But the comforting thing is, with volleyball especially, these coaches are great. I mean, reaching out to them, you never feel like you're overstepping your boundary, or like, they're very helpful. So we've gotten to talk to a few other people and see what page everyone is on, and there's comfort in knowing you're not the only one. I think if this was just a regional thing, you would feel very isolated and alone, but we know coaches worldwide are kind of collectively taking a deep breath and scratching their head with us. So we're just leaning on each other and seeing what comes next.
Yeah, it's just been a crazy time. So has 1:30 kind of become the time to watch the governor to see what he says? Has that been something that you kind of mark the days by that, just to hear what the latest is?
I used to do that. I've actually waited until a little bit later and gone off of some people who do really good recaps, because I was just getting overwhelmed. So now I go and I look at a few people that kind of summarize it, and wait for our athletic director to direct us. So that's been a couple of weeks ago, when we were waiting to see what June would look like. You were hearing every rumor possible of what date we could possibly come back. So that week was a little stressful. That week I was hanging on every word.
Is there a date that you all need to reach for the start of practice, where everybody's able to do team practice, pass the ball and everything? Or have you thought about that? Or
we're kind of looking at what we've done in previous years. Most of the time, a lot of our girls would play club ball, so they would be playing in nationals around the time that we were in dead period. So there wasn't much of a break for them. Volleyball is very much like baseball. It seems like between travel and school ball, you don't have a lot of off time. So in some ways, this was a little bit of a silver lining for some of these kids who haven't slowed down or missed a beat in years. They got a little time to kind of sit back and be forced to be at home and relax a little bit, take some time off of knees and backs. But yeah, we're hoping that by July 15th was what our original return date was, that we can be in full swing practices, but we're going to be happy that we get to see them right now and see what July brings.
It's all up in the air, and hopefully things will improve.
What a first year, huh?
Yeah. Hey, you could write a book on this, and people, you might have a bestseller right there. That would be good. Yeah, everybody's going to remember it. That's for sure. You mentioned the kids getting some downtime. A lot of people have thought that's been good for the kids. But what about the coaches? Was it kind of nice, for coaches to get away a little bit too? Because everyone talks about the kids grind, but coaches grind too. Is that not true?
Yes. I completely agree. I will say I felt like while we were still on contract and still, having meetings within our administration departments and then an additional, depending on your role, having more meetings. Um, Maybe it was the 3-year-old twins talking, but I've never been quite that just mentally exhausted. I was stretched about as far as I could go, trying to keep them entertained while trying to come up with practice plans and workouts and different things that you can do at home. Basketball, if you have a goal, you can shoot. Volleyball, you might break a window if you're serving on the side of your house. You might knock off some shingles. I might have cracked siding as a child, so my mother always likes to remind me that. But you had to get creative. You had to do your homework, and that was really stressful. It was really nice when we were off contract for a week, but we just turned around and got right back in the gym. So it's gonna be a marathon, but it's worth it. It's been fun to see what we did differently in our Zoom meetings. We had our kids start leading practices, so they came up with the workout, and then me and Coach Northington would do it with them, which was hilarious because I can't keep up with them anymore. I tried really hard, but that was really nice to let them take the reins for a little while. It was fun to see. So I'm looking forward to maybe taking a few more breaths before we get into full practice, but I was in a different situation with twins at home.
Oh, yes. As a result of all this and the different ways of doing things that came out of this and creative, do you think that's going to change maybe the way the sport's coached a little bit? I mean, will there be some changes?
It very well could. Part of me thinks that, a lot of things are going to change. Just, even in the way we handle when kids are run down or not feeling well, you just have to handle those things with a lot more caution and a lot more attention than we did before. If a kid came in with a runny nose, you thought, oh, they have allergies. As long as you're not running fever, you're fine. And obviously that line of thinking has changed a little bit. But yeah, I think this is going to be a year we take a lot of notes and go back to the drawing board daily and figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Oh, it's going to be something else. Do you have time real quick to play our quick quiz?
Absolutely. It's nap time. We're doing good.
All right, here we go. More likely to take the family out for a haircut or to a restaurant?
Oof. My mother-in-law's a hairdresser. I'm going to have to say restaurant.
Oh, that's a nice perk to have. Do you play a musical instrument?
Unfortunately, I do not. Actually, fortunately, I do not because I'm not good at it.
Musical taste, country or rock?
I'm a country girl at heart.
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh, I'm a sucker for 90s Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Garth Brooks. That's my go-to.
Okay. Last movie you saw in a theater?
Oh, my. You're really making me dig back in the archives for this one. I think it was the last Avengers movie, Endgame. We got a babysitter and escaped the house to go see that one.
Oh, nice. And what has your family spent more time doing, garage work or in the yard?
We have been in the yard. I am a notorious plant executor. They don't do well under my care. My family calls me the black thumb of the family because I do not have a green thumb. They all just seem to not survive. But we have a thriving garden right now, so we're doing okay.
Yeah, all right. And the scene behind you looks phenomenal. What a porch and great view. That's got to be just a lot of fun in the morning to just chill out there, right?
We put out a new porch swing, so that's where we've spent a lot of our time is just trying to get outdoors and escape the madness of the inside.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we'd love to talk more as we get closer to the season, maybe talk more about what's coming up this season for the Lady Mavs.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.